Here at the scene of the crime spree, right behind me.
Strange. Vice Mayor Strange, you'll address her properly. You can kiss my foot. Mr. Rickard, you're out of order.
FBI, we are asking you to investigate this council. Please look into this council, how they award contracts, the bid process, how they use their positions to benefit their friends and themselves, how they use their positions to attack residents and critics and neighbors and business competition. FBI, will you please look into this?
And I welcome the FBI here. If you notice, Mr. Thompson, with his plea for the FBI and his watchdog group, this city runs the cleanest in this whole county. I guarantee
He was served a federal subpoena this morning.
We did receive a subpoena this morning, and we're going to cooperate 100% with the subpoena. And
most of you who were involved up here, you gaslighted me. You tried to say I was crazy. And now we know that that's not true. And there's a lot of other issues I've been asking about as well.
So very soon, Panama City Beach is going to look different. And tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., there is a city council meeting. And they're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a long, big meeting. And it's going to affect you. They're going to talk about the possibility of implementing an ad valorem tax in Panama City Beach on about 20,000 property owners. An ad valorem tax is a property tax. The property owners know what that is. And Panama City Beach is one of only maybe two cities in all of Florida that don't have an ad valorem tax. They rely instead, the city does, on a 1% sales tax, which is illegal. They don't call it a sales tax. They call it a merchant fee. See, but that's what funds, I think, about 60% of the city's budget. Well, these guys, these thieves that masquerade as elected officials up there on the council, they've run out of the TDC slush fund money, so they need a new slush fund. And stormwater is a real issue. So they say, we got an idea. Now, when I say they, I mean all the cities, the county, they're all having secret meetings. Arthur Cullen is the networker. He's the one who brings them all together. People who shouldn't be in meetings. People sometimes on the very same board talking about stormwater and how we're going to do it. How are we going to sell this to the people? Because Lord knows we have some stormwater problems. They've neglected stormwater for how long? So now they get to say, we're going to fix it. And guys like Bernie are, they're just always naysayers. I'm telling you what's going to happen. I'm going to show you what's going to happen. And I'm going to share with you what the consultants said back in January. You're not going to believe your ears. What's it going to look like? How much it's going to cost? What the alternative is that the St. Joe Company doesn't want. That would be pretty simple and pretty inexpensive. But see, now they need another revenue flow, which they did not talk about in January. Back in January, they said they were going to run a gigantic pipe underground about 1,000 to 1,500 feet into the Gulf of Mexico, a gigantic pipe underground. I'll show you what it kind of looks like. And they're going to take stormwater from upland, from a whole bunch of pipes underground, and they're going to funnel it, and they're going to send it out. They're going to treat it first, of course, because they wouldn't just send dirty fresh water into the Gulf, but they're going to send a boatload of water into the Gulf. Now, their consultants in January said it would cause a dead zone in the Gulf. None of the council members seemed concerned. They also said it's never been done in a Gulf. They've never dug the seabed in a Gulf. They don't know if it's going to hold. But all the council members, especially Jeff McConnell, who did not want it, by the way, a few hours before they came to the meeting. Something happened, and they sold him on the idea. Then he was the biggest proponent of it. But Jeff McConnell, who never graduated high school, He's certain that this is going to be fantastic. He knows all about it. He's listened to the consultants. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., they're going to talk about this. And now they're talking about a stormwater assessment, which is a tax by another name, right? They've got the CRA assessment. They've got the stormwater assessment. They've got the fire services assessment. When they ran for office, none of them said they were going to do that stuff, but now they are. Now, the reason they need a stormwater assessment on you that will go up like crazy, just like the CRA one and the fire one, the reason that they need that is that's where the slush fund is going to come from. For example, the current mayor of the city of Panama City Beach, Mark Sheldon, owns Sand Jam and Gulf Coast Jam. Are you happy with those? Now, the TDC, the Turtle Development Council, the Tourist Development Council, the Tourist Development Council pays Mark Sheldon's company more than $1 million a year to run those concerts. They gave him $1.7 million as a startup fee in 2015. That's what he came to Panama City Beach from Alabama to escape a public corruption dragnet that landed his friend and boss, Ronnie Gilly, in prison for nearly 7 years, but I don't have time to get into that right now. So now he's our mayor. And they have tapped out the TDC slush fund. They need a new one. That's what the stormwater is all about. Now, what I'm going to show you is from the January meeting where Paul Casto said, some communities needed to implement a stormwater tax. And I was thinking, that's where you're going with all this. And that's where we are now. I'm going to show you what this looks like in Myrtle Beach, which is their model. And I'm going to show you that meeting in just a moment. It's a hot time in Florida, and my friend Ryan can make sure your air conditioning is running at peak efficiency. He could even install a new one, built to a higher standard, American standard. Find out more at pcairrepair.com. All right. If you haven't liked and shared the show yet, I hope that you will, because this is information you're not going to get from the local media, who are acting as the PR firm for all of these people. I'm going to take you to the meeting in January, Panama City Beach, where they had just voted to give $1 million to the consultants. $1 million. Just like that, they voted. And you're going to see the two consultants. They're going to pop up on the screen, and the audio is not the best. I'll help you through it. But it's important that you hear what these two consultants say about the stormwater outfall project, the gigantic pipe that they're going to dig up under the Gulf and put under the Gulf. It comes with a lot of challenges, they say, and you won't believe it. Here's what it looks like. This is on my Facebook page. You see that? That's Myrtle Beach right there. Right there. That's one of the big rigs that has to go out there because they got to dig under the seabed. And they've got to maintain it. And that's where the stormwater from upland is going to go out into the Gulf. They're going to pump a whole bunch of fresh water up there, down into the Gulf, rather. See, Ocean Outfall Project happening now, Myrtle Beach. Now you can change that to say Panama City Beach. Instead of doing retention ponds, which is what keeps the rainwater where it's supposed to be, not in the Gulf. Now, here are the reasons that the city claims the stormwater outfall will bring the benefits. Number one, the city says that this gigantic pipe they're going to build underground will improve the environment by reducing erosion and sending treated stormwater deeper into the Gulf. What they're talking about is erosion on the sand, because when it rains on the beach near the Gulf, the water creates these little like tunnels with tannin water. It looks like dirty water, but it's not. It's a natural water. But people think it's dirty, and they don't want that anymore. But what they don't say is that the water that used to go into the soil upland will no longer be there. They're going to take that water and pump it into the Gulf. I don't know if it's because the St. Joe company doesn't want all that swampy area where they're developing. They got to get rid of that water somewhere, send it to the Gulf. Maybe. But that's going to mean that the water that normally would go into the soil no longer goes into the soil, and it would have a devastating impact on the wildlife, and it would create what's known as saltwater intrusion, because now they're going to, it's not like nothing's going to replace it. Saltwater will replace it. What will that effect have on wildlife there, on people's wells that they rely on for fresh water? Well, they're paying, and they paid more than they paid nearly $1 million to a federal, another lobbyist that goes to DC. And I believe that's Capital Consulting, which is where Steve Sutherland is now. He was a congressman. Now he leads Capitol Hill Consulting. That's their congressional consultant, don't you know? So number 2, they say it'll reduce flooding in PCB, which God knows we need. Lynn Haven knows they need too. Everywhere we need. And number 3, they say it'll eliminate the unsightly natural tannin water outfalls on the beach. Again, this is what it looked like. See that? Ocean outfall project happening now. Myrtle Beach. Pretty soon I'll say Panama City Beach. All right. So now I want to take you to the meeting in January. Let me look at your comments real quick too. Thank you, Matthew. Well, because there were only 2 people spoke up against it in January. And when I was sounding the alarms and yelling from the rooftops, very few people listened. Wow. Manatee deaths, huh? You'll hear the consultants, Bill. They're going to say that it will create a dead zone. Yeah, that's what I think too, probably. This is absolutely true, Michelle, because they are public-private partners. Mark Sheldon's companies that run Sand Jam and Gulf Coast Jam get $735,000 a year, excuse me, from the TDC, and he won't say how much he gives to the local media. He won't say how much he gives to the local media. All right, let me get to the meeting. I want you to see this stuff. It is unbelievable. All right, let me get the comment off there. So this was the meeting, and you're going to hear the consultants. This was in January of this year. All right. Boom, boom. Listen to this.
Each and every one of them, if I could hear them again. Sure. One of the questions that did come up was about removing the sandbars. Will this outfall be removing the sandbars that are currently out there that people enjoy today?
Well, certainly in the line of construction for the pipe, that we will have to dig a trench for the pipe to be installed in, and there is a very significant layer of stone both beneath and above that pipe, but the stone will be at the top of the excavation when completed, will be the same elevation that the ocean floor is right now. So whatever may be disturbed by that activity will come back. And all of the projects that we have done, the Corps requires us, as well as the Coast Guard, to go out and do a post-development survey immediately after, and then a year after the project is completed. And we have never had a problem with the surf zone or the area beneath beyond the surf zone coming back to the normal activity that was before the project. There are a lot of things that we've got to worry about. We've got to worry about wildlife. There are a myriad of state and federal.
So, you don't have to worry about, he says, you don't have to worry about the stormwater that they send out into the Gulf coming back where you're swimming, because, they've been successful in the past. Now, they've never done it in a Gulf. And so that presents a unique set of challenges that they're going to discuss right now. So let's get back to this First of all, I know the volume isn't fantastic here when I play this, but it's important. It is so important. These are the consultants that just got $1 million that day they voted, just minutes before they brought them on. Here's what they say now, and he's about to say that Panama City Beach will be the guinea pig of the Gulf. And watch the lack of concern from all 5 of the members of the council.
Federal regulatory agencies that will be looking over this project. And as the lady pointed out, this will be the guinea pig of the Gulf experiment with stormwater outfalls. And I recall the first one we did, there was extreme interest.
The guinea pig of the Gulf. Did you hear that? The guinea pig of the Gulf. They're gonna explain in a minute. The reason it's the guinea pig of the Gulf is because this $20 million project, they got to dig the rocks under the seabed of the Gulf, put this gigantic pipe out there, and pump the stormwater from upland, instead of putting that water where it's supposed to be, where the rain left it, let it treat it in the retention ponds. But see, the St. Joe Company and the city in Panama City Beach say, well, there's not enough land to have retention ponds. So we'd rather take all that water and put it in the Gulf of Mexico. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., they're going to discuss this. They're going to say, we've got so many floods. They're going to say that they're going to fix the flooding. And everybody's going to say, oh, thank God, the media are going to go nuts. Oh, thank God, we need to fix the flooding. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor. You guys are so educated on this stuff and so benevolent. Thank you for your foresight. Now, you watch. That's what's going to happen. There won't be any critical questions by the news media. And don't you think there ought to be some critical questions about this? This is happening tomorrow morning. They're going to talk about a stormwater assessment, which is a tax. And if you don't accept it, then they're going to talk about, excuse me, then they're going to talk, if you don't accept it, then they're going to talk about implementing an ad valorem tax for the first time in the city's history. So here are details, by the way. Today's the last day you can email the city. And was it yesterday? It was actually yesterday. If I were you, I would still email. And here's how you can do it. Debbie Ward, she's the public affairs lady, the public relations lady. Debbie.ward@pcbfl.gov. All right, if somebody writes that down, that would be helpful. Maybe I'll just leave that up there. That's who you can express your opinions about, too. And here's where the meeting is tomorrow. All right, so it's on the corner of Back Beach Road and Highway 79. I want you to hear it again, where the consultant said, and not one, if you were a member of the council, would you not say, did you just say we're going to be the guinea pig of the Gulf? Not sure I'm comfortable with that, but these guys were all certain that everything is going to work out. Wait till you hear the consultants explain all of the challenges that they have to deal with. Significant challenges with this gigantic pipe that they're going to build underground. All right, I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. If you've got a honey-do list or you need some work done around the home or office, call Paul, PCB. He's licensed, insured, and he's a friend of mine. All right, back to the meeting. I want you to hear one more time where he says guinea pig of the Gulf. So I'm going to go back just a little bit here. All right.
Federal regulatory agencies that will be looking over this project. And as the lady pointed out, this will be the guinea pig of the Gulf experiment with stormwater outfalls. And I recall the first one we did, there was extreme interest, not only from the regulators, but from the environmental community. There were those who did not think it was a good idea to do the project, but at the end of the day, every one of those people applaud not only that project, but the ones that followed, and the cleanliness of the beach, the cleanliness of the surf, the lack of pollution, the upstream changes that we made to ensure that floatables and debris never make it into the system.
These are the consultants that in January the city voted to give $1 million to. Okay, just for starters, it's a $20 million project. And by the way, they didn't talk about a stormwater assessment back then. They said they were going to rely, and you'll hear it, they said they were going to rely on federal funding, and they had money budgeted for the rest of it. But see, that doesn't leave a lot of room for their slush fund and the kickbacks.
Made great strides toward making Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach and Horry County, the places that we've done these, a much better place for the citizens and the tourists, the 20 million tourists that visit each and every year.
Another question that was had was what the boxes. How are their defense against hurricanes?
We designed this project for a hurricane event. The boxes are under significant cover. They are sized for these storm events. The pipe itself.
When they talk about the boxes are under significant cover, that means they're going to dig up the Gulf and put these boxes and a gigantic pipe. That's what they're talking about here. So will a hurricane knock the pipe out? They say, of course not. We're going to build it real strong.
We have to design it for static and dynamic forces and surf zone under a hurricane event. You've got two problems. You've got uplift from the waves above, and you've got down forces from the waves crashing. The potential for liquefaction in the soils beneath the pipe are a huge problem, which would make the pipe sink, and then the uplift would make the pipe come out. So part of the design element of this project is to ensure that under these conditions, that pipe stays in the ground, just like it's supposed to.
That would be reassuring. So you've got this they're going to dig up the Gulf, put this gigantic pipe, send stormwater from upland, because St. Joe's got too much swampland, got to get rid of the water. I mean, that's conjecture. I'm not sure if that's the reason why. I do know that it's going to be one hell of a slush fund for the politicians, just like the TDC is right now. So, you got pressure, of course. Is there a lot or a little pressure underground in a Gulf? Is there a lot or a little pressure with all the water? And then you add a hurricane, right? So, they got to make sure it doesn't come out of the ground. They got to make sure it doesn't get pushed too far under the ground. But, they've got that handled. One of the questions that I think is being asked the least is what becomes of upland? The rainwater is supposed to go in the soil up there, right? The wildlife, the ecology up there, that's what it's supposed to have. And if you remove it and send it out into the Gulf through a bunch of pipes that go into one giant pipe into the Gulf, then you get saltwater intrusion. The fresh water gets replaced by salt water. Boy, if you've got a well up in that area, your water is going to be funky by the time this is over. There's a meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. about all this. And the council is saying that if you don't accept the stormwater assessment, you don't believe me? I'll show you. They say if you don't accept the stormwater assessment, well, then they're going to have to just implement an ad valorem tax. Look at this. That's the wrong one. Although that's pretty damn interesting too. Did I not? Well, yeah. We'll get to that later. I guess I didn't put that one in. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, though. All right, so we're going to go back to the meeting And they're going to tell you a little bit more about the challenges of digging up the Gulf of Mexico for their new stormwater idea that politicians are having secret meetings in. County commissioners, Arthur Colin's calling these secret meetings across Bay County. And they're all coming up with, how are we going to sell this to the public? Well, thank God it's been raining a lot, they say, because people really want and need less flooding, right? So maybe they'll believe what we're going to sell them. There are other ways that work that are not this expensive and this disruptive to the ecology. But they don't want to do that. St. Joe doesn't want to do that. Therefore, the politicians don't want to do that.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, back to the meeting. Here we go. These are the consultants in January.
Let's see, what makes Panama City Beach different than other places on the Gulf Coast that would allow us to do this project?
You got a little more head elevation to work with. Actually, you have more than we have in Myrtle Beach now.
Okay.
Which will help the size of the pipe. Again, until we run the numbers on the pipe and how far out they need to go, it determines, and that's where the solar boards and everything come into play.
Myrtle Beach is where they've done it before. I showed a picture of it earlier. If you just got on to the show, when it's over, if you rewind it to the beginning, near the beginning, I showed what this stuff's going to look like. All right, so they say there's more headroom, so they can put a bigger pipe underneath the Gulf of Mexico and boxes, whatever the boxes are. This is from the January meeting of this year.
One thing I would like to point out that normally on projects like this, especially the first one, where there is great concern from the community, from the environmental community, from the regulatory agencies, Eric and I have planned to first meet with all the regulatory folks that will be overlooking this project. We intend to contact each and every one and then give them the contact information from the regulatory folks in the areas where we have done these projects before, so that they can call them and get a level of comfort from their cohorts.
See, they've got to get buy-off from the FWC, from Congress, from all these regulatory agencies. And part of the way, I think, again, this I don't know, but this is just the way I imagine it happens. The reason that Panama City Beach had to give nearly $1 million to the federal consultant and $1 million to these guys is because they got to grease some skids, right? Dig under the Gulf of Mexico, send rainwater from upland into the Gulf, creating a dead zone, the guinea pig of the Gulf. See, normally that can't work. You got to grease a lot of skids to get those approved, see? So it costs a lot of money. A lot of honey is what it costs. And that's where guys like Steve Sutherland come in. He's part of Capitol Hill Consulting. And they got nearly $1 million. They got to convince Congress to go ahead with this. The federal regulators up there. So people say, how do they get away with this? Follow the money. That's how they get away with it. Tomorrow morning is going to be interesting. I have a feeling that tomorrow morning they're going to say this. Watch. I know these guys. Well, there's been a lot of misinformation lately in the community. Misinformation means me, right? They're going to say, some people are saying me, that, we paid too much in consultants, that it's the guinea pig of the Gulf, that they're going to take rainwater from upland. Look, I got this from their project manager, this information. But they're going to say there's a lot of misinformation. What we need to do is solve problems. We were We were elected to solve problems. And this is where Mark Sheldon is going to become very sanctimonious, the guy that gets $1 million a year from the TDC to put on Sand Jam and Gulf Coast Jam. The sanctimony is off the chain. If you go to the meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m., you'll see what I'm talking about. And then you'll have McConnell, who will throw in a big word or two that he wrote down beforehand, because he wants you to think he understands this stuff. So they're going to be talking about all this stuff tomorrow. They're going to be voting on all this stuff. They're also going to be changing like 12 property rights ordinances, because when they do pass either the stormwater tax or the ad valorem tax for Panama City Beach, they need to have teeth so that if you don't pay at a time like this, imagine that local government's getting a boatload of money. The people aren't. The people are hurting, but they got to milk us more because they need a damn slush fund. And they're going to say, some people who just talk, they can't fix the flooding, but we've got consultants and engineers and architects, and we're going to fix the flooding. No, you're not. No, you're not. If you were going to fix the flooding, you would use retention ponds. You would keep the water where it's supposed to be and not put fresh water into the Gulf, causing a dead zone. I don't even think I'm going to go into any more of this. You heard enough, right? You heard enough of the consultants. They're going to talk about, well, it's going to be very expensive. We're going to get federal grants, and we've got a lot of money because the city's doing so well. They didn't say one time that they want to pass a stormwater assessment. That was for the tail end. That was for now. There are going to be a lot of pissed off people. There might even be a bunch of people at the city council meeting tomorrow. There might even be some familiar faces going up to talk to the city council tomorrow. See, they can vote. Up until 2019, the city charter prevented Panama City Beach officials from voting in an ad valorem tax. The city doesn't have an ad valorem tax. They rely on a sales tax. One of only like 2 cities in all of Florida. So in 2019, a state statute was signed into law that prohibits city charters from doing that. So now they can actually vote it in. Now, here's the dilemma they're in. They all know Jeff McConnell with his dreams of becoming a county commissioner, and Mark Sheldon with his dream, all of these guys and their political dreams and ambitions. They are opportunists, and they're worried because they know that they can threaten you with an ad valorem tax and you might forgive them. But if they ever hit you with one, you'll never forgive them, and they'll be voted out. There's not enough fake votes from out of city owners to win an election if they do that. So they're really up against it because their puppet masters, the St. Joe Company and their handlers, they are telling them how to do this. But they're scared to death because a stormwater assessment's bad enough. But it sounds okay initially. But that'll go up every year. Wow. All right, let me take a look at some of your comments. Yeah. Okay. Glenda says I could imagine the St. Joe Paper Company. I can imagine that has a lot to do with it. More, yeah, exactly, John. John knows. That's not what they're going to do. He better not do it again. At the last meeting, you saw from the security camera footage that Jeff McConnell, the vice mayor, he doesn't answer when I'm there. He barely looks at me. He looked like he stroked out at the last meeting, but I don't want to get into that right now either. Yeah, when he thought the cameras were off, he came over and tried to jump. He's not concerned about COVID or Delta or Magna or whatever. COVID 47. He's not concerned of any of these things. He was like right in my face, snarling. Dude, you need to back up. Golly, because, he's got some opportunities ahead he's looking forward to. Yeah, I'll say, Michelle, absolutely. That's interesting. It'll be interesting to see, Matthew, how much the governor is watching this. They say the water would be treated concerning sewage issues. They say the water would be treated by concern. Yes, the water would be treated. We don't know exactly what that consists of. They haven't told us yet. But even if the water were pure, they're taking so much fresh water from upland, not just normal water that goes into the Gulf. They're going to be pumping it from upland, running it down, and putting all that fresh water into the Gulf, which even their own consultants said would create a dead zone. All right. I am going to I'm going to wrap this up. If you haven't done it yet, I hope that you will go to YouTube and follow me on YouTube, because this also airs there, and it tends to be a little bit better video. But you see more comments here. So if you want to make me happy, you subscribe on YouTube, because I haven't been that serious about YouTube. And if you want to support my efforts, I rely on you. That's how I do this. I don't work for any media outlets. So if you want to become a patron, which is sort of like putting a tip in the jar every month, it's anonymous, it's easy, and it is, you can quit at any time. Patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. That's how you can become a patron. I sure could use more people linking arms. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I've got to get to the meeting early tomorrow, and I'll be covering it. And I'll tell you it's going to be a big meeting tomorrow. Oh my God, there's no way I'm going to be able to cover all of it, but it'll be aired live, and I'll be there.
Have you received a speeding ticket for which you want no points placed onto your driving record? I'm El Saulene, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.